And good afternoon to the viewers this afternoon on Facebook. We're going live with the scenario about talking here about the production 2020 and doing what we're going to be doing about that. Just a couple of days ago, we sent out an email to the students involved in production, the cast, not the crew. Sorry, crew, didn't have anything to say to you at that point. But talking about what was happening for the rehearsals and suggesting that we're going to try and continue on with rehearsals on a Thursday afternoon for this term. Just need to qualify a few things so we can deal with a few of the issues that are happening there and some of the questions that have been asked of us. So what we're wanting to say is that production for 2020 will not be occurring at the times which was originally suggested to people. We have done a production on short notice one other time, and it does take us about a term to get there, to be able to get to that work. So we're not going to be able to do something in week 4 of term 3. That's assuming that we go back and we're able to do everything we need to be able to do in the beginning of term 3. So there are a number of factors. We're waiting for the state and federal governments to be able to give us the okay to start meeting in groups larger than 2. So we need to be able to do that. We will have, when we're all on stage, nearly 400 people in the theatre, and they'll be in very close proximity. And so we'll need to be able to have the okay to be doing something like that. We need to be back at school, so we need to wait for the state government to say that we are going to be back and working at school. And we also need to be looking and talking with the VCAA and seeing when the exams will be, when Year 12 exams are, and then we need to be working and consulting with the rights holders, because at the moment we have the permission to do this show when in the 2 weeks we have been given, but we don't have permission to do it at any other time. And so we will need to be negotiating with the rights holders, but it's too soon to be negotiating with them. And please, if there are parents out there, that's okay. We'll negotiate with them. Don't, nobody needs to go and ring them up and ask them why we can't have it some other time. We will do that negotiation. But first of all, we just need to be able to actually sort out the times when we might suggest we're going to do it. So we'll be talking with the rights holders fairly soon and talking with them about what the possibilities are and whether they have any particular times when we can't do the show. And we'll be looking at that sort of detail soon. But we need to be waiting and getting through a few other things first. The idea of running the the rehearsal sessions for this term is simply just so we can keep in contact with students who are wanting to do production for them and for us as well, so that we can have some continuity, we can get a few things going, we can keep working with that, so that when we do get all those other things in line and working together, that we can actually say, yes, we're ready to go, we've got some material going, and we're looking at things. So it's not going to be that every student is going to be sitting in front of their computer like this for 2 hours on a Thursday between 3:30 and 5:30. Like many of our rehearsals, some people will be needed for some time, other people will be needed for other times, and some people may not be needed as much as others. So we'll need to have a look at that sort of material and see where we're going to go and what we're going to do with that sort of level of the work. And Shane will be looking at the various members of the team and saying, okay, well, on this Thursday we might be doing half an hour of singing at the beginning, and then we're going to require only 6 people because they're going to be working with doing some singing. There might be the dancers might have a video to watch, and they might have a session on something like the teams there to work through with Kate about some work, or they might be looking at a video from a guest choreographer, because we have 2 guest choreographers we're looking to use this year. So we'll be sorting some of those things out, and we'll be looking at that. I very much doubt that anybody will be there for 2 hours working their way through that, but we'll work on that process in due course. If you're looking to be in the tech crew and that side, so I've got a couple of questions there already. Look, don't worry about paying for the tech crew yet. We'll sort that out when we get back and having a go. The payments and some of the monies are there to to offset some of the costs of food and other things we're doing. Let's wait and see where we're going to get to, and we can sort that out there. And whether or not you're in at the moment, look, most people have been in, will possibly be in, but we're trying to sort that out. We are still having a couple of audition sessions to go for those tech crew people. So we'll sort those out and get back to you about that as soon as we can in that time frame there. There'll be no penalty if students can't be there for a rehearsal. If you can't be there for rehearsal, that's fine. It would be, again, as it'd be nice to be able to say to us, oh, look, I can't make it. And that's okay. We understand that. These are difficult times. We all have ability to be able to do various things and not to do other things. So if you just do a bit of communication back and forth, if you're not able to be there for a particular session, that's fine. We can work on it and we'll be able to get back and do that. But we really would like to be able to work with people who are there and are doing things. So some of the other sessions that have been suggested to us is we might be going ready through with the performers. So those people have got lines. So we might say tonight we're going to work with Act 1, Scenes 1 to 3, and we're going to work our way through the lines and try and get you doing your lines on a video conferencing scenario, so you can see each other and you can do the lines, and hopefully we'll be able to get rid of the scripts so that perhaps when we come back in term 3 we can start doing the blocking and we can work on how do you deliver and facial expressions and some of that sort of stuff without having to worry about the fact that you've got the lines down there and you know the lines already, and that's working in that sort of way. So we won't be, as I said, penalising anybody if they can't make it. We just need to be there. If students say, well, when we come to rescheduling it, it's going to be in, I don't know, it might be in December, it might be in November, it might be in October. If that month doesn't work for you because of other things you're doing, that's okay. In this particular time, in this particular year, we'll probably say that's fine. There's no penalty. It's nothing going to be about it. We'll refund you the rest of the money and we'll sort things out from there. It's not about trying to penalise anybody, and we're not trying to say you have to be there for all these sessions. We're just wanting to give an opportunity for those who'd like to be there and for those who can be involved in that to be involved and to be working with us in that way. Now, I've basically come to the end of the conversation that I've got with people there. So I'm looking to see if there's any other questions from anybody and to see what's happening there. Hopefully I've got some viewers out there. I've got 2 anyway, and doing that, but working on that. So I'm happy to wait for a moment and see whether there's any other people who've got some questions. Not appearing to be too many more questions there. We're investigating with our, just to go back to the dance scenario, looking to go back and talk about the material about what's going on with the dancers. That's one area which we might be able to work with, and getting some guest people to record some material and look at that, and then the dancers could go away and work individually and perhaps be able to come up and point their camera at themselves and say, oh, here I am. What does that look like? How do you think about that? So we'll be working on some of those things. Now, production jackets, look, we'll try and look at that a bit later in the term and see how we're going. I'm not really too sure about that. There's about a 4 to 5 week turnaround on a jacket. So if we look at that later in the term, I don't want to get parents to spend money at the moment on a jacket when we're not really sure how it's going to go. We'd really want to do this and we want to be there and we want to get production going, but I'm a bit loath to try and get people spending any more money at this point in time about jackets. When will we be notified of what scenes are going? Look, there'll be some information coming out either via email or on Compass about what's going on for the scenes and what's happening at the moment. So we're trying to get that going. And so we'll look at that and try and get that information. Shane is in charge of that, and he's not here at the moment for me to interrogate about that. If he's watching this video, perhaps he could type something in and say, when are we doing things? But I would have thought we'll try and get something out to you the day before, so you've got some idea whether you're going to be needed and what time you'll be needed for that in that way. It'll be interesting to see if we can do some singing. So we'll be expecting people to do that. But one of the things that anybody can do at the moment is they could get some of the music off YouTube or off some other medium that they have, and they could listen to the music, and they could, in the shower or wherever they like to sing along with that music. So at least you've got some idea of the tune, and we're working with what's going on, and you've got some understanding of it. You could have a look at some of the sessions that are on YouTube, some of the shows on YouTube from other schools, and see what's happening there and get some information that way so you can see what's going. So you've got a bit of time to be able to do that now. You could look at some of those. There's a number of different schools that have done that. I've watched, I think, about 4 or 5 different school shows that are on YouTube in their entirety, and you can go through and look at that and make sure that's happening there. So that'll be really good about doing that, and you can look at that. That'll be a great way of getting to know how things are going and what's happening in that way. So it's really good to be able to look at that material. And again, I'm starting to think of what else I'm going to say. The only other thing is we may, towards some of the time, if you're got anybody out there who's really excited about making costumes, and perhaps they haven't volunteered before because they had lots of work and there was things they couldn't do with costumes, it might be an opportunity for somebody to say, look, I'd really like to make some costumes, and I've got more time now than I had before. I know that in my family there's people who are now sitting at home who perhaps didn't have as much time as they've got now, and they could, if they were at all able to do sewing, could do some sewing. Unfortunately they can't, but otherwise I'll get them to make some costumes. But we could look at getting you some costumes and say this, because we're going to need like 20 or 30 nurses outfits. We're going to need 20 or 30 air hostess costumes. So if somebody's out there and you'd like to get in contact with us and say, I could make some costumes, we could do some measuring of people. People could do their own measuring of themselves and send us in their measurements, and we can make up some costumes to fit into those people. So that'd be fantastic, and we could look at those sort of things as well. But Janelle will be working in that area, and she'll be there. So Janelle Hillebrand, if you want to contact her and see her and talk to her about those things, she'll be more than excited to get your information about how you'd like to assist in that way. So there's some of the things that we're going to be working on and what we're going to be doing and in that way. So hopefully that has allayed any fears by students or parents about the fact that they'll be penalised. Again, I'll just repeat, there'll be no penalisation if you can't make those sessions and you can't be there for the 2 hours because, the mother or the father or the brother has to do the work on the computer, or the sister needs to do the work on the computer. That's okay. We'll be there. We just want to try and, for those who'd like to be there, to be able to do that work and to get there and be together. And we're going to look hopefully at a particular format where you can see more than 4 people and see whether we can get on to maybe seeing 25 people and see whether we can all do singing together and work in that way. So we'll look at that. There'll be some singing stuff, there'll be some acting, and we'll be doing some dancing and that. And I know that Surya is excited about working with the boys for dancing as well. Don't think, boys, you're going to get out of doing some dancing simply because you're not live there now. So we'll be there and doing that work in that manner. So we've stopped with the questions, and so I think I've repeated myself a couple of times, so I'll stop there and so end this chat. It will be available for people to look at, and also Mr. Murphy will be able to put it up on the YouTube channel that we have for Wantirna College through the college website if you want to look at that, and there'll be those all these live video chats will be up on YouTube and in the college website in a couple of days as he gets them organised. Thanks very much, and see you again soon.